Hello and welcome to XYPN Radio. I'm Maddie Roach, an executive business coach here at XYPN and the host of this podcast. Today, our guest is Nathan Donohue, co-founder and partner of Consilio Wealth Advisors, a fee-only firm out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Nathan's going to share his experience transitioning nearly $200 million of assets in a team of 7 from a broker-dealer in 2021, just a few years ago. Today's episode is all about what it takes to run a large firm. With over $425 million of assets and 275 client households, Nathan and his team are busy. Nathan shares his journey of moving from advisor to manager to visionary of the firm and explains what it takes to delegate confidently and seamlessly to his very empowered team. He shares information about his team structures and his meeting cadence, and even dives into his favorite books of 2024. And as you can tell, Nathan is an avid reader and learner. I trust you'll find Nathan's interview informative and likely inspiring, and his words of encouragement to you, our listeners, to be generous and honest. Without further ado, here's my interview with Nathan. Hello, Nathan. Welcome to XYPN Radio. It is so nice to have you on. How are you today?
Fantastic, Maddie. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Why don't you do the honors and introduce yourself and your firm to our wonderful listeners today?
Yeah, happy to. So my name's Nathan Donohue, and I'm one of the co-founders and partners at Consilio Wealth Advisors. So we are an RIA founded in 2021. And we focus on serving technology professionals. So predominantly those at Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Google. That makes up a majority of our client base. So we're fairly niche focused. Today, we manage about $425 million for about 280 households. Been in the industry for about 16 years, started as an intern in college, went full-time with a large broker-dealer. And like I said, we broke away from that broker-dealer back in 2021 and started our RIA.
Great. Awesome. There's already a lot there, Nathan, and I'm impressed that I have a lot of advisors on the podcast that work in the tech space and focus on equity comp, but I love your specificity around the actual organizations that you end up serving employees from. So great. And nice big firm. So I want to dive into how you manage that, but let's go back to kind of the early days. And did you ever think you would be an entrepreneur, Nathan?
Yes and no. So my first entrepreneurial endeavor was when I was 16 years old. I started a mobile detailing business out of the trunk of my car. Nice. I was like just a car nut as a 16-year-old, and that was freedom and independence to me. I kept my car really clean, and all of our neighbors took notice of that, and they said, "Hey, would you mind washing our car?" And it just kind of spread from there. And my parents gave me my dad's like, "Hey, you can borrow $50, but you got to pay me back." And we went down and bought all the soap and wax and all the stuff we need to do. And that was my first job and first business was a mobile detailing. That was like a phenomenal summer. I had total control of the calendar, a pocket with some cash in it, and 4 wheels, and it was a lot of fun. In college, I knew I wanted to work in finance, and like I said, I took an internship with a fairly large broker dealer, went full time with them after graduating, and thought at the time that I was a business owner, thought that I was maybe an entrepreneur, but really didn't have all of the control and flexibility and freedom that you have with an RIA. And over the years, that became more and more clear. And ultimately, we decided to take the big leap. And it's been a lot of work, but it's been so much more rewarding ever since.
Could you talk to the listeners a little bit more about some of the things you were hearing that were giving you the impression that you were in fact independent, but then maybe some of the sensations that were telling you that you weren't actually independent while at that broker dealer?
So they would tell us, "Hey, you're a business owner. You own your own firm. You own your own practice." And to a certain degree, that was true. We had our own entity. We hired our own staff. This is the case across multiple broker dealers, is you run your own business, but you have to run it within the confines of a certain box, right? Like that box has walls, and the sometimes, depending upon where you are, you'll have more or less flexibility on certain things. So everything from the technology we could use to the investments we could use to what you can or cannot say in marketing collateral, all were very dictated by the larger entity. So they were like, yes, you can run your own business, but as long as you do it this way, you know, and over time that just became more and more frustrating. And we also observed a number of cases where those rules and those confines were maybe not in the client's best interest. And so we said, let's go look at some other options. And what we did about 2 years worth of due diligence before we finally started the RIA. So we started this process all the way back in 2019, met with everybody. So we met with wirehouses, other RIAs, roll-ups, other broker-dealers, and a lot of people were courting us. There were some pretty significant carrots that were dangled as well in terms of transition or what is sometimes called transition assistance, basically a big fat check. And we kept finding that there was, okay, this seems a little bit nicer, but we have concerns over here on this thing or that thing. And we ultimately decided, hey, if we're going to build the vision that we have for the firm, if we want to deliver the value that we want to deliver for the clients, we have to do it on our own. So we turned down a lot of those carrots, a lot of those chunks in order to start the RIA.
Interesting.
I was just going to say, I think a good analogy is with inside of the broker-dealer space, you say you're a business owner, you are to a certain degree, but I felt very much like a franchisee, right? So the franchisor dictates, yes, you own your own business. It's your own entity. You can control the profits of that entity, but you have to brand it a certain way and you have to make the goods or services look a certain way. And so I think that's probably the most apt analogy I can use is that a lot of times you feel like a franchise, and it's nothing wrong with that. Like you can build a great business and a great life inside of that. But if you envision something different, if you want more control, you have more freedom in certain areas, you, in many cases, can't do it inside of those confines.
I appreciate you sharing with the listener some of the due diligence that you did and talking a bit about some of the options and the carrots that were dangling in front of you. And if it wasn't the fat check that was enticing you, it really sounds like independence was. And so I'm wondering, like, what was it that you wanted to be able to implement that you were able to say, like, nah, the money isn't actually what I'm looking for?
Yep. So control over technology tools was one. So we wanted to be able to use certain financial planning instruments, certain tax planning instruments. And when you're with a broker dealer or a wirehouse, they say, all right, great, you're an advisor and here's your toolbox and we've already put the tools in it for you. And if we said, well, gosh, there's like our clients are a little bit different and they might get a lot of value from that tool over there. You're like, well, I'm not sorry, you can't touch that one. That one's off limits. And so change of tools, change of investments as well. So the ability to offer different types of investment strategies, whether that was privates or direct indexing at the time. We also observed that the share classes that were being used were not necessarily the least expensive option for the client. I don't think many clients, let alone some advisors, recognize that there's a revenue sharing agreement with most of these mutual fund firms and the broker dealer. And the client could actually buy the exact same portfolio for a lot less money. So for example, when we left, our clients in some cases were able to save 15 to 20% on their expense ratio by keeping the exact same portfolio by just doing a share class exchange. So that was a component, the ability to run our team the way that we wanted to, the ability to market ourselves the way we wanted to. Like we have really brilliant team members and we wanted to be able to write blogs and have a unique website and do podcasts and YouTube videos and share the expertise that our team members have with the world. And you can't always do that, right? And so the ability to be able to, the ability to share that was a big component as well.
I have a lot of advisors as a coach. I've witnessed advisors who are either making the transition or have made the transition have some worry around how to explain that to the clients that they're bringing over, that actually we're going to save you more money now that I'm running this new business. There's a little bit of conflict and ickiness related to that conversation. Could you flesh that out for us a bit and how you navigated that?
Yeah. We did exactly that, where we went to every single household. We said, hey, exciting news. We're starting our own firm. And here are the 4 reasons why we're doing it. Here are the 4 reasons why it's beneficial for you. And conflict of interest was a big one. And we went to those clients, say, hey, there's actually this intermediary, and in some cases there's revenue sharing with that they're making. You could actually pay less money. And in most cases, or not in most cases, but in plenty of cases when we talked to our clients about that, they came back to us and they said, yeah, we always knew that was there. Like, we always knew there was a conflict.
Interesting.
Clients aren't dumb. They're aware. But they all said the same thing as well. They said, well, we trusted you, right? We trusted that you were always telling us the truth and that you were doing the right thing. And so they, in many cases, when they said that, they're like, we're really happy that you're doing this, and we're 100% it. Like, what paperwork do I need to sign? Like in our business, when we made the transition, I think, so we were with a firm that had, we had advisory business. We also had brokerage business. So we could get paid either on a flat, a fee basis, or we could get paid on a commission basis. And the commission basis was maybe 4% of our revenue at the time. It was paltry. It was not what we were focusing on. We were focusing on doing financial planning and doing flat asset management. And so we told clients, like, this is less than, it's a tiny little amount of our revenue, but we just don't even want it to be an option. We don't even want it to be a conflict. So when we left and started the RIA, we don't have a broker-dealer affiliation. So we are just registered with the SEC. And we share that with clients. So like, that makes perfect sense.
You make it sound easy. I hear a lot of hesitation with advisors around, how do I go back and explain that I was still doing what I was supposed to do with those clients, but there's this new way of billing and charging. So thank you for
I found the opposite. Most people are like, yeah, we knew that there was a slight conflict, but we trusted you, and now that you have something better to offer, we're in.
Great. Good. I love that advice.
It was a scary conversation for sure. Like, we were worried about the exact same thing, but it was super positive. The trust and rapport and the relationship went up by a significant margin.
Wow. Beautiful. And how many clients did you transition?
Oh gosh, we brought over about 180 to 200 million. And we probably brought over about, number of households. I'd have to go back and look at my records. So it was probably somewhere between 100 and around 150, 175, somewhere in that range, I'm guessing. It was also a great opportunity to clean up the book too. So we've been doing it for 16 years. Had a lot of folks that we brought on originally, but great clients 15 years ago, maybe not so much today. And so we invited a lot of clients to come with us, but we did not invite everybody to come with us.
And I hear you say we.
So I have a co-founder, Chris, and we have a phenomenal team of 9 in total.
Wow. Okay.
So we took the team with us as well. So that was also part of the messaging, was your experience, who you email with, who you talk to, the financial planning philosophies, all that's going to stay exactly the same.
That is reassuring to clients.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So tell us a bit about, were you working with these tech professionals at the broker-dealer, or is this a newer development for you?
We were. So I grew up in the Seattle, Washington area. So backyard for Amazon and Microsoft, and Meta and Google have every major tech firms got an office in Seattle. So that niche started just kind of by default, right? We just got a lot of referrals to people that work there. But when we started the RIA, we said we now have freedom and flexibility to market ourselves how we want to market ourselves. And we're very bold we do financial planning for tech professionals. If you go to our website, that is the landing page. It says financial planning for tech professionals. It is very clear what we do. And that's what we wanted. So the concentration of technology professionals of that niche has only gotten stronger and more robust since starting the RIA.
I know referrals end up being a major source of new clients once you kind of even just cross the threshold of 30 clients in the space. But originally, where were you finding your clients?
Referrals, very similar way.
Okay.
So today we do get more leads from some of our marketing efforts. So we do get more introductions, people reaching out from the website. We have really strong blog content. So if you Google Microsoft ESTP, their employee stock purchase plan, we're one of the top 5 search results, or Amazon 401k, things like that. We're typically within the top 5, 6 search results. We actually get quite a bit of traction from some of the content that we put out now.
Great. What other marketing channels do you rely on?
So we've got blog, market commentaries, YouTube, podcast. We have a lot of our team members will write articles for various publications, whether it's Smart Asset or Bankrate, you name it, NerdWallet, Lifehacker. So we've got quite a bit of content on a regular basis in the news. What else? Those are the dominant ones.
Beautiful. And what kind of tracking across all those channels are you doing on a weekly basis? I talk to a lot of advisors about needing to keep a pulse on, and making data-backed decisions around their marketing investments. How do you manage and track the results of your initiatives?
Yeah, we have an Excel sheet.
Great.
So it's probably just like everybody else. So we track every new lead that comes in. Where did they come from? How much? What was the approximate AUM? Did they engage with us for a financial plan? And we can kind of go into what our service and process looks like there. Did we have an introduction? What was the date of the introduction call? First meeting, second meeting? Did they come on board as a client? Did we close them? Did we onboard them? So we track all that. We develop ratios for our closing ratios, break it down year over year. And then we can also analyze, what percentage of our clients came from referrals versus the blog versus these other avenues. And even today, even with the amount of traction that we do get from the marketing efforts, majority of clients still come from referrals, right? Just happy clients introducing us to people.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a bit about your service model. What could a client expect when they work with you?
Yeah, so we have a 2-step process. So let's say you came to us today, said, "Hey, Nate, I'm a principal at Amazon. I'd be interested in working with your team. I got referred to you by my neighbor." Phase 1 is what we call design. So phase 1 is an initial financial plan where you come in, we'll take a look at all your investment accounts. We'll ask for statements. We'll ask for the last 2 years of tax returns, estate planning documents, insurance policies. We'll go through all of your goals. What do you want the financial plan to look like? And then our team will put together the full analysis for you, covering all those topics: education, retirement, taxes, the works. We also put together a written, very detailed executive summary of that analysis. So we'll break out those recommendations for each of those respective categories. And then that is our deliverable to you. We charge $4,950 for that, 3 monthly installments of $1,650 per month. So it's a 3-month engagement. And then we're done. So we tell people that you're going to have so much information you could go in. It's kind of like if you wanted to build a house. First, you have to get the blueprints, right? We're going to give you the blueprints. You wanted to go build the house yourself, you'll have the information to do so. Phase 2 is when they say, "Hey, this blueprint looks great. I love the house you've designed for me. I feel like this is exactly what we've been looking for. Can you help me build it and maintain it?" And that's what we call phase 2. And that's where we transition to an assets under management engagement. And that is a flat cost as a percentage of the assets. It's tiered. So the more money that we manage, the lower the composite cost. It's very similar to other firms. And then we will typically meet the client 2 to 4 times a year, just depending upon what's going on in their life. But that is an ongoing perpetual engagement.
Do you have a time frame that individual has to move from design to the second phase? Or is there if they came back a year later, would they be able to roll right back into the second phase?
Yeah, that'd be fine. We have not observed that that's happened yet. Typically they convert relatively quickly.
Okay. What's your conversion rate between the two?
About 90%.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. If not, I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks, but I think last time I looked, it was about low 90%.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see among these tech professionals as some of the themes that they really need you for?
Stock concentration is one. So a lot of times, most of our clients that come to us, they're up in tech, obviously. They are also oftentimes first generation wealthy. So a lot of our clients don't come from money. And a lot of them are also first generation to the United States. So a lot of our clients come from India, Pakistan, Mexico, South America, parts of Asia. And so they're looking for, they're families that are very, very busy. They've studied hard, they work very hard, and they wake up one day and they go, holy crap, we're rich. Tech stock has exploded. We now have $1 million of Meta and $500,000 of Microsoft. And so their portfolio looks really, really concentrated. And they have very, very high incomes as well. So taxes are a massive problem. And they typically have kids by that point. They've reached a certain level of success in their career where they're at a leadership level and they're just really busy. And they're looking to help delegate some of the execution of this to a professional team. But that is typically who we're working with.
Okay. I loved as we prep for this call, you talked a lot about wanting to help your clients live their best lives and make sure that they enjoy what they've just achieved. Talk to us a bit about how you and your team support them there.
Yeah, so our purpose, we are really passionate about our purpose and our core values. And so our purpose is to empower our clients to live their lives fully, right? Our purpose is not to garner a higher rate of return or to save them money on taxes or to even put together a really robust retirement income plan. That is not our purpose. Like, we believe money is purely a tool to accumulate memories of people that you care a lot about, right? Like, that's the purpose behind this. A good example is, I actually had a meeting earlier this week where husband and wife and one of the spouses was really frustrated at work. They've done a beautiful job saving money. And the one spouse was really frustrated at work. And they said, gosh, I want to quit, but I don't want to disrupt our plan. And can we still educate our son? And my other spouse was interested in taking a sabbatical maybe in a year or two. And we ran it and we're like, quit, like tomorrow, you're fine. Like, not only can you quit, you could take a year off. You could actually potentially never go back to work if you don't want to. And just being able to tell clients that those are family decisions, not financial decisions, feels awesome. Another good example was, we have this other family that we work with, and their two daughters are the oldest is about, I think, to enter their senior year in high school. And the husband said, gosh, it'd be great if we could take like 6 months off and just be with the girls, because this is the last time the four of us will all be under the same roof, perhaps. And so we ran the plan, like, yeah, don't just take 6 months off, take a year off, like, go be with your family. This is the last time you can spend it together. And that seems so counterproductive from a math perspective, but like, that is the whole point. Like, you've done a great job for decades of saving money to have the flexibility and the freedom to use it. Like, life's not about accumulating dollars, it's about accumulating memories. And so we're really big on that from a purpose standpoint.
The permission that you're giving to clients, that's so beautiful.
Spend the money, blow it.
Love it.
Yeah. Go have fun.
How has your relationship with your own financial picture evolved as you've built this business? As a coach, I've witnessed such shifts in advisors over the years of them wanting to make it too. And so many of you guys don't actually have financial planners of your own. So I'm wondering, how do you keep yourself steady with your family, making sure that you're balanced?
So my wife and I, we have a financial planner. So
Good.
We have somebody that we meet with a couple times a year and gives us the same advice, because I have the same anxiety that most of our clients have about money. And like, growing up, we had financial turmoil over a lot of it. And so I get my own anxieties around it. So we have a financial planner. The other thing that's been really helpful is my wife and I have a family finance meeting once a month. Once a month, we get together, we go over all of our accounts, we go over all of our transactions, we go over our cash flow, we go over our investments. We ask tough questions like, where did we spend money last month that brought us zero joy? And how do I get rid of that expense if I can? Like, can I just get rid of that? Or where do we spend money that brought us tremendous joy? Can I spend twice as much next month? Like, that was great. Are there subscriptions we're not using? Like, what part of our finances makes me happy? What part of our finances gives me anxiety? As we just have like a very open conversation about money in our family, in our household. And we've been doing that for probably 3 to 4 years now, every single month. It's been awesome.
Oh, I have not yet heard from an advisor that talks that way about really sitting down and being goal oriented. Would you mind sharing what some of your goals are for yourself and your family as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
So we like to keep things very simple from a finance perspective. So a couple of years ago, it was to pay off any other outstanding debt aside from a mortgage. We accomplished that. We also use a fairly simple way of figuring out how much money do we save and how much money do we spend. So for every dollar that comes into our household, we set aside a third of it for federal and state taxes. We set aside a third of it for our investments. So that goes into various different places, 401k, brokerage accounts, HSAs, real estate, you name it. And then the other third we have to spend.
Cool.
And that one has actually probably brought me the most freedom because I've always get concerns and anxiety around cash and cash flow as a business owner. Like your cash flow is not always guaranteed. But just to say, no, if we have taxes taken care of, if we set aside, if you're saving a third of your gross income, you'll be just fine in the long run. And then you have total freedom to spend the other third. That's been very liberating for me.
I'm always so interested in how individual advisors' own personal money scripts and values can actually become biases in how they plan for their clients.
Yeah.
It can become philosophical and become their theories and how to plan and be very helpful in the marketing space and helping advisor clients meet their goals. But I'm wondering, have you found anything else about kind of your own personal experience with money, either bleed into your approach or potentially be a roadblock for you that you've had to work around?
I think one thing that's been helpful is to have conversations with our clients about how money makes them feel. It's not just our job to talk about expense ratios or taxes or rates of return or projections or yields or whatever, but how do you feel? How do you feel financially? And we have some clients who are like, I'm really nervous. I have anxieties. Like, okay, let's talk about that. Like, how can we address that? How can we help? Because the point of accumulating all this is not to give you anxiety. It's the opposite. And so I think just having a conversation around and owning that can happen and that does happen and that's okay. But let's just have a conversation about how we can try to address it.
On that note, the tech industry has had a lot of ups and downs in the past couple of years. I imagine that you've had more than a few conversations around layoffs and industry shifts that your clients are witnessing. Could you give us a little summary of what the past couple of years have been like and how you've navigated that from a planner perspective?
So if we go back to boom time, so 2019, 2020, 2021, most of our clients were bouncing all over the place. They're changing jobs frequently. They were getting a lot of competitive offers. So a lot of our job was helping them put those job offers side by side and giving them feedback like, hey, this company has a deferred comp plan. This company has employee stock purchase plan. This company's vesting schedule looks differently here and here. And then in 2022, that all changed, right? Massive layoffs. Tech sector specifically got hit really, really hard. It's interesting for our firm, whenever the market experiences a lot of volatility, we have our best years in terms of net asset flow into the firm. So 2022 was our best year ever.
Wow.
Before that, it was 2020. And those were both very volatile years. And so whenever people seem to be asking questions or having concerns around their portfolio, we do really well in terms of a net asset flow year. But I would say that it has provided clients with some context of like, hey, this doesn't always just go up. My job is not always super safe. And we need to make sure that we plan for some of these contingencies. So we do have, especially over the last 12 to 18 months, we have more clients saying, hey, could we model what if I got laid off for 6 months or a year? Absolutely. We can model that. And, or what if that happened? Where do we go for cash? And so let's talk about your liquidity. So we are having more of those conversations.
Great. It sounds like you're really in the advisor role still. How frequently are you meeting with clients?
So typical schedule, Monday's an all internal day. Okay. So Monday meeting with the team. We have our Monday morning L10. We use a lot of EOS inside of running our organization. Tuesday through Thursday are probably the heaviest client days. So I don't take meetings until 10 o'clock. Probably any given week, anywhere from 8 to 10 client appointments per week. So decent amount of volume. It depends. And then Friday mornings are our education time. So we always have Friday's a learning day at Consilio Wealth Advisors. Every Friday morning, we do some type of learning event. Then we have some internal stuff, some marketing stuff, some projects. So Friday's a little bit of a catch-up day as well. I'm the CCO for the firm, so I do call my compliance corner on Fridays as well.
Great. Oh, I'm glad to hear. I love some of this lingo that you're sharing. Talk to us a bit about those Friday morning learning sessions. What is that, full team or individual time blocks? What's that look like?
So one of our core values is thirst for learning. So we believe we need to have like this insatiable desire to learn. Every single day we show up, we have to try to learn something. That's one of our core values. Our vision for Consilio is this is the number one firm to work. If you want to grow as an advisor, if you want to get smarter and grow your skill set, this is the place to be. So one of the ways that we reinforce that is Friday morning is a learning event. We have 4 of them every month. So first Friday of the month, we have an external speaker come in. Wow. So somebody from the outside. So we have, might be an estate planning attorney who's going to come in and talk about trust planning, right? So we have somebody from the outside coming in and presenting to the team. The second Friday of the month, we have an internal speaker. So everybody at the company has to present on something once a year. So today, one of our financial planners, he did a presentation on the history of the Federal Reserve. It was awesome. We had a great discussion about the Fed and talked about the history and its impact. It was an awesome discussion. We also have a firm offerings meeting every Friday. So that's the third Friday of every month. That's where we get the entire organization together and we talk about these are the products and services. This is what our process looks like. These are the investment strategies we employ. This is our billing structure. So if a client calls anybody on the team, they should hopefully be able to look up, here's what you're paying. So that's our firm offerings meeting. And then we have an advisor huddle on the 4th Friday. And so that's where the advisors get together and we talk about cases, role play. We have a service schedule. So we have certain topics that we need to cover throughout the year, throughout our review cycle, so that every client has the same experience. Every advisor uses the same verbiage, the same philosophies. And so we train on that every single month. So that's those are our Friday. And then our investment operations team has a different meeting. Our administrative team has a different meeting. So every Friday morning, we're learning something.
Oh, I love that. And listeners, whether you have a big firm like Nathan's firm or not, I think dedicating and earmarking time for professional development is absolutely crucial for any advisor in this space.
We have a pretty robust education and designation bonus pool as well.
Wow.
So we like to believe that advisors are educators, they're not salespeople. And so in order to be a better educator, we need to learn. Like we have to be able to understand a lot in order to share that with others. So if team members want to get their CFP or CFA or CPA or RICP, we will cover the expenses for the study materials. We'll cover the cost for the exam. For each test you pass, you get a pretty sizable cash bonus. When you complete the designation, you get a pretty sizable cash bonus. And typically it comes with a raise as well. It's like we put sizable incentives behind our team members.
I'm interested in kind of compensation generally at the firm. What industry benchmarks are you using, or do you just have a nice gauge on what you think the value of the work is from each of your employees? How do you do that?
We use industry benchmarking studies every year. So we'll use Fidelity's benchmarking study, Investment News and Commentary, a couple others as well. But we're probably looking at least 3 to 4 studies. And we'll do our structures that we do that review in Q4. In January, we do one of our first review. So we have 4 reviews throughout the year with our team members. First one in Q1 is where we talk about compensation and benefits, and we make any appropriate changes there or any promotions. And then we do quarterly reviews every quarter thereafter.
I'm interested in kind of your experience as an entrepreneur here. What would you say over the past several years has been the hardest part of this on a personal level for you?
Starting the firm was really stressful. Like very stressful. It was a ton of work to get ready for this. You have to hire attorneys. You have to hire transition consultants. You have to get a website ready, a brand. You have to figure out the messaging to the clients. You have to demo. I don't even want to know how many pieces of technology we demoed. And you have to make a decision that's going to last years based upon maybe a couple demo sequences. Mm-hmm. And that is a ton of work, and it's a ton of stress, and it's risky too, right? What if people decide not to go? You understand the industry averages, but what if they say no? And some people did say no. Mm-hmm. But that was probably the most stressful part. But now I look back on it, I'm like, that was so much fun. Like I had a blast doing that. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm-hmm. How did you manage the transition with the team through all of this as the leader and the visionary of the firm?
Constant communication. Mm-hmm. So we have fairly regular meetings with all of our team members. So every Monday we have our level 10 meeting. And then Tuesday through Friday, we have a daily team huddle. And then we have we're just big on recurring meetings. So investment operations meets at a certain time every single week, firm administration, right? Team development, things like that. So very regular communication. Like, hey, this is the direction we're going in. We're going from A to B. These are the steps we're going to take along the way to get there. Let's make sure we check in and we're tracking along with that. When we were making the transition, we told our team members we needed to get about 180 million over in 3 months. We put some incentive behind the team in order to do that. And they raced at it. We got it done in 30 days. We made about $180 million in about 30 days. Wow. It was awesome. It was a ton of work. We processed a lot of applications, but every day the whole team knew what our number was. They knew what the scoreboard was. Wow. Every day.
Yeah. And so are you utilizing the Entrepreneurial Operating System at a peer level, EOS as folks know it by?
We have implemented components of it. We could probably use with an actual implementer coming in and implementing others as well, but we use the VTO, we use the level 10 meeting, we use a variety of components of EOS. Yes, I'm like a very big structure, process oriented mind. That's just how I think and how I live my life. And so when I read Traction, I was like, yes, this is it. And so yeah, we use components of it, and it's been phenomenal.
Mm. Are there any other programs or systems that you've committed to at the firm that have helped you succeed?
A lot of the programs we've developed internally. So like a lot of the coaching and development has been really big. So we do quarterly reviews with team members. Some team members will also do monthly and weekly coaching as well. I've always maintained that I want the business to grow far beyond me or my partner, right? It should be about the organization and the team members. I think that's what really drives value for the company. What makes it worthwhile and worth something is if it's not just let me put it this way. I heard one time somebody said, you have a business where you can go on vacation for 6 months and you come back and the business is still there. And I think that is BS, frankly. Like, I think you will know you have a business when you can leave for 6 months and you come back and the business is actually bigger. Yeah. That's when you know it's not just having a self-managing company, it's having a self-multiplying company. As Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach will put it. It's like, that is really what we're trying to drive for. And in order to do that, the founder advisor has to delegate a lot of components of the business to other really smart people and support them in doing those roles.
And how's that been for you personally as you've had to delegate away some of these accountabilities?
Years and years and years ago, it was really hard. Today, it's gotten better. I think part of that has come back to hiring. We hire really smart people today. We pay them very, very well. Another great line I heard one time is pay your people a lot of money because you can expect a lot from them too. Right. And so that's something that we've always implemented. We always pay more. All those benchmarking studies we were talking about earlier say, all right, what's that top quartile? Let's pay a little bit more than that. So we hire really smart people. We hire really passionate people. We use assessments to try to understand what type of personality, what type of natural traits do they have. So we'll use DISC, Culture Index, to try to identify the right person for the right seat. It's really hard initially because there's so much to do. But as the organization grows, it becomes a little bit easier. And I think for me, it's been really fulfilling to be able to see other people do things better than I probably could have done. Mm-hmm. I think that's the sign of a job well done as a leader.
Totally.
It is if you can say, I used to do that, but now you do that and you do a much better job than I do. And I'm just so happy about that.
Mm-hmm. I think a sign of a fabulous leader is someone who can say that confidently. Alan Moore, our co-founder with Michael Kitces for years, has always said that has been a big evolution for him to be able to acknowledge. And as I talk to different advisors, as they are able to release the ownership over some of the tasks and give credit to the team doing it, that often the work is done better and differently than just that one founder. So kudos to you, Nathan, for getting to that space.
Great line was, I think this is just, who was it? Seth Godin said this. Seth is like the GOAT on leadership and values. He said, give credit, take responsibility. And that is really, really huge. If you can give credit to your team members for doing a job well done, and when things don't go well, that is my fault.
Yes.
That is my responsibility. Excellent. I think that is just, I not always perfect, but strive for that.
Mm-hmm. I think this conversation of ours, Nathan, has been a beautiful demonstration of how you as an advisor have moved not just from an advisor into the entrepreneurial role, but into a leadership role, which is so crucial for firms that are looking to get as big as your firm has gotten, to be able to balance the responsibility and the accountability of being in charge of other people's jobs and livelihoods and the results that they produce. So I think it speaks volumes of the kind of team that you've created and what you've built.
Thank you.
As we look forward, what can we expect out of Consilio Wealth over the years? What do you hope to build and get to?
Yeah, we're not done growing. So vision is to get to well over $1 billion within the next couple of years, and we're on the right path to get there. The vision is to bring on other wicked, smart, and incredibly passionate people onto the team. That's what gets me really fired up, is how can we grow this organization? How can we start to layer on other services as well, whether it's tax planning, tax returns, other types of investment strategies our clients might be looking for. So how can we continue to expand on what we're offering to clients? And also how can we, I like to think about productizing our service. So professional services is really tough to scale because what you do changes a lot, right? Like whether you're an attorney or an advisor or a CPA, it is really tough sometimes to scale because sometimes your time is the bottleneck and you have to work really hard to turn your service into a product. Like if you think about a widget factory, they make the same widget the same way every day. How can we think about our service the same way? How can we productize our service such that it's repeatable, it's scalable, it's predictable, it's reliable? Because that will allow us to continue to grow and also deliver the same experience to the same clients in the same way every day.
Well said.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to get there?
Well, a couple more clients will help, but I think like just a growing team, the right people in the right seats on the bus. I think
absolutely,
and a little bit of time.
Nathan, just from your background, you and I have connected over our favorite books, and I would be interested in you sharing with our listeners as we kind of wrap up this podcast, a couple of recommendations for books from mindset to actually executing how to run the firm. What have been your top favorites of 2024?
Yeah. So a couple of favorites. I like books that are change my mindset around certain maybe limiting beliefs, or I also like books that are, tactical systems you can employ. I also really like stories around entrepreneurs and business leaders that talk about times of struggle. So 2 great books that are biographies or autobiographies, one of which my favorite is Shoe Dog, Phil Knight, founder of Nike. That is a book of just sheer grit and determination and a little bit of luck. I mean, that is just a wild story and roller coaster that he went through. Another great one is Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. A thing I really like about his story is he is very transparent about the success he had. He's also very transparent about his failures, and just getting to hear from both of those authors and leaders about what went well, but more importantly, where they screwed up was fantastic. I'm also a big Dan Sullivan fan, so founder of Strategic Coach. He's got his book, 10X is Easier Than 2X. This forces you to completely reframe how you think about your business, right? We can't just keep doing the same thing every day, every week, every month, and expect us to astronomically grow our business. So we have to go about completely changing our service model or how we're going to grow if we're actually going to have a 10X business. And he talks about how that's actually a lot easier than trying to 2X your business. Like if you want to double your business, that might just, the only input you need to change is your time and your work. But that means you have to work a lot more. But if you want to 10X the size of your organization, you have to think completely differently. And that actually might be a heck of a lot easier than just trying to double us. He's also got a great one, Who Not How. We're big on team, getting the right person in the right seat. Your problem isn't, you don't necessarily need to solve your problem with a how. You might need to solve your problem with a who and the right person. Measure What Matters is a great one. This is a tactical one on OKRs by John Doerr, making sure that you're actually tracking the right stuff in your organization. Traction is a good one. That's always for EOS. And Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time was one of my favorites this year. All about time management. Just about everybody needs an assistant. And he talks a lot about that and how to manage your time. At a personal level, probably one of my favorite books was The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. This is a great book about how human beings are driven for comfort and how counterproductive that is to our growth. So he talks a lot about getting outdoors and being bored and putting your phone away and dopamine management. And it's just a phenomenal story about how he spent 5 weeks in the Alaskan bush with some hunters and then also a bunch of other, he's very research oriented as well. So he goes and meets with a lot of professors and professionals about what he's studying. It's a phenomenal book.
Oh, I love it. So many of those actually came to mind as you were talking about how you built that business, especially 10X is better than 2X. It is sitting on my shelf, and you must have had read it to be able to do what you've done over these years. So,
yeah, when I first finished listening to it on Audible, I was like, that was fantastic. I got to listen to that again. So started it all over again.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing your book recommendations.
Happy to.
Do you have any advice for our listeners who may not have left that broker-dealer yet, who may be a little hesitant to doing this? What's on the other side for them? What could you advise them about in terms of holding as a carrot for them in the future?
The first thing I'd recommend people do is to go out and meet with other firms that you could join or other people that have started their own firm. Go and talk to a lot of people. Go talk to other broker dealers. Go talk to a wirehouse. Go interview with an RIA. Go talk to a friend that started their own and ask a lot of questions. Ask tough questions. Because one of two things will happen. You'll either decide that, no, actually where I am is the right place. And you'll have even higher confidence as a result of that, right? Like, nope, I actually already know what's outside these walls and I like where I'm at. And that's great. Or you might decide, gosh, I now understand how these platforms work, and I could see a great opportunity for my team and my clients by starting our own firm or by joining this other one over here. And you might decide to make that shift. And sometimes you don't know what other doors will open until you close one already, right? So it's a little scary to do that, but sometimes you need to close the door in order to see what other doors you could possibly have ahead of you.
Beautiful. Nathan, it's been a total joy to talk to you over the past hour. And
likewise, Maddie.
Thank you so much for showing what's under the hood of a firm as big as yours. And I hope that you achieve all of what you have just laid out to our listeners, and I trust that you will.
Appreciate it very much. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.